My missing $4,800 laptop was sitting in my neighbor's living room with a pink bow on it, while she stood beside it in her church cardigan and told the police I had probably misplaced it. The worst part wasn't the theft. It was that for 6 months, I had baked that woman banana bread, watered her hydrangeas, and believed every sweet little lie she told me. My name is Claire Whitaker. I'm 34, a freelance graphic designer in Raleigh, North Carolina, and at the time I lived in a brick townhouse on Marigold Lane, the kind of neighborhood where people waved from driveways and knew whose trash cans blew over in a storm. My neighbor was Diane Mercer, 58, retired office manager, HOA treasurer, and self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac. She had silver blonde hair that never moved, pearl earrings for every outfit, and a voice as smooth as warm honey. Her husband, Paul, worked long hours as a regional sales manager, and she often joked that the neighborhood was her real family. For 2 years, I believed her. When I moved in after my divorce, Diane was the first person to knock on my door. She brought a casserole in a blue ceramic dish and said, "Claire, honey, nobody starts over alone on my street." That sentence lodged itself somewhere soft in me. She collected my mail when I traveled to client meetings in Charlotte. I fed her orange tabby, Winston, when she visited her sister in Wilmington. We sat on her porch in spring drinking iced tea while her wind chimes clinked in the breeze. When my design business hit its first $100,000 year, she left a card in my mailbox that said, "Proud of you, neighbor." So when packages started disappearing in January, Diane was the last person I suspected. The first missing package was on January 11th, a $64 set of watercolor markers for a branding mock-up. The delivery photo showed it on my porch mat, right beside the black iron planter. When I got home from Harris Teeter, the porch was empty except for a few dead leaves skittering across the concrete. I remember standing there with my keys biting into my palm, smelling rain on the cold air, thinking a driver must have marked it delivered too early. Diane appeared at her window, waved, and came outside in a cream sweater. "Missing something, sweetie?" she asked. "My markers. Amazon says they were delivered." She frowned like a concerned aunt. "Oh, that's happening everywhere now. Porch pirates. I'll keep an eye out." Then came the $138 ergonomic keyboard on February 3rd. A $92 skincare order on February 19th. A $310 client print sample on March 7th. Every time, Diane was sympathetic. Too sympathetic, maybe. She always seemed to know before I told her. On March 15th, I heard her on the phone through our shared driveway while I was unloading groceries. "No, she still doesn't have a camera," Diane whispered, then laughed softly. I froze with a paper bag against my hip, the smell of cilantro and oranges rising between us. When she noticed me, she smiled too fast. "Talking to my sister," she said. "She worries about break-ins." I nodded, but something cold slipped down my spine. The discovery happened on April 22nd at 6:14 p.m., and I remember the exact time because my phone screen was glowing in my trembling hand. I had ordered a MacBook Pro for a huge contract with a dental group in Cary. $4,800 after upgrades and warranty. I had signed for delivery alerts, sat by my front window all afternoon, and listened for every truck rumbling down the street. At 5:52, the notification popped up, "Delivered." But no one had knocked. The delivery photo showed the box on my porch. Not just any box. A large brown Apple shipping box leaning against my blue door. I opened the door so hard the wind slapped my face. Empty porch. My ears started ringing. My mouth went dry. The late April air smelled like cut grass and someone's grill smoke, but all I could feel was the thudding of my heart. Then I heard muffled laughter through Diane's open front window. I stepped off my porch and walked toward her house, my legs stiff like they belonged to someone else. Her curtains were half open. Through the gap, under the warm yellow glow of her living room lamp, I saw my Apple box on her coffee table. Diane was standing beside it with scissors in her hand. I knocked. 3 hard knocks. She opened the door only halfway, still smiling, but her cheeks were pink. Claire. What a surprise. My laptop is in your living room, I said. My voice sounded flat and strange. Her eyes flicked behind her. Oh, goodness, no. That's Paul's work equipment. It has my name on the label. She tightened her fingers around the door. You must be confused. Diane, I said, louder, open the door. For 1 second, the sweet neighbor mask slipped. Her eyes turned sharp and mean. Then she sighed like I was being difficult. Claire, you're upset. Go home, make some tea, and we'll talk tomorrow. I called the police from her front step. I thought the laptop would be the whole story. It wasn't even close. Officer Grant, a calm woman with a Navy uniform and tired eyes, arrived 20 minutes later. Diane suddenly became fragile, pressing one hand to her chest and saying, I don't understand why she's attacking me. I've always looked after her. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely show the delivery photo. Officer Grant asked, Ma'am, may we see the package inside? Diane smiled with watery eyes. Of course. I have nothing to hide. But she did. The Apple box label had been sliced off and shoved under a magazine. The laptop itself was already out, sitting on the coffee table with a pink bow on it. A gift, Diane said. For my niece. Officer Grant picked up the cut label with gloved fingers. My name and address were clear as daylight. The room went silent except for Winston the cat scratching at a cardboard flap. That sound, dry and quick, made my stomach twist. Then came the second twist. While Officer Grant spoke into her radio, I noticed a stack of flattened boxes near Diane's hallway. One had the logo from the skincare company I used. Another had the print shop sticker from my March client samples. And on top of the pile was a white padded envelope with my name written across it in black marker. I pointed. Those are mine too. Diane snapped, those are recycling. Officer Grant looked at her. Then why are the labels removed? Diane's lips pressed into a thin line. The investigation moved fast after that, and every layer made me feel more foolish for trusting her. A postal inspector named Mr. Leland contacted me 2 days later. He had a quiet voice and smelled faintly of coffee and peppermint when we met at my kitchen table. He asked for every missing order confirmation, every delivery photo, every refund claim. By May 1st, we had documented 23 missing packages totaling $7,462. The list made my hands go numb: art supplies, client materials, 2 pairs of shoes, vitamins, a birthday gift for my mother, replacement headphones, even a $42 throw blanket I had convinced myself I lost. Then Mr. Leland showed me screenshots that made the room tilt. Diane had been selling my items on Facebook Marketplace under the name Dee's Deals Raleigh. My skincare set was listed as new, unwanted gift. My keyboard had sold for $75. My watercolor markers were photographed on her dining table, right beside the same rooster salt shaker I had laughed about during dinner at her house. But the worst part was the HOA file. Because Diane was treasurer, she had access to complaint records. She had filed 6 anonymous complaints against me for unsightly package accumulation and frequent suspicious deliveries. She attached photos of my porch taken minutes before she stole the boxes. She was stealing from me, then building a record to make me look careless. I stared at the papers until the black ink blurred. She wanted me blamed, I whispered. Mr. Leland nodded. She wanted a pattern that made you look unreliable. My throat tightened. Why? He hesitated. Sometimes the reason is simple. Access, opportunity, and the belief no one will challenge them. For the next 2 weeks, I barely slept. At 3 a.m., I would lie flat on my back, staring at the ceiling fan turning slow circles in the dark, replaying every cup of tea on Diane's porch. The house felt too quiet. Every creak of the pipes made my shoulders tighten. I lost 8 pounds because food tasted like cardboard. Coffee turned sour in my stomach. I called in sick to 2 client meetings and told them I had a family emergency because I couldn't explain that a woman I trusted had hollowed out my sense of safety one box at a time. The betrayal wasn't just about money. It was the little moments that hurt. Diane hugging me after my dog Bella passed away. Diane telling me, "You can always count on me." Diane standing in my kitchen, complimenting the exact throw blanket she had stolen and resold 3 days earlier. My friend Maya Chen came over on May 6th with soup from Beat Amanda. I couldn't eat it. The ginger steam curled in front of my face while I sat wrapped in an old sweatshirt, fists clenched in my lap. Maya looked around my dim kitchen and said, "Claire, she didn't just take your packages. She took your peace. Don't let her keep that too." Something in me snapped into place. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a clean, bright click. That night, I opened my laptop, made a spreadsheet, and titled it Mercer Evidence Timeline. My hands were still trembling, but this time it wasn't fear. It was focus. The turning point became a plan by morning. I hired an attorney, Priya Nair, who had an office downtown near Fayetteville Street and a reputation for smiling gently while ruining dishonest people's day. Her office smelled like lemon polish and paper files. She reviewed my evidence, tapped a pen against her yellow legal pad, and said, "We're not going to yell. We're going to document." "I want everyone to know what she did," I said. "They will," Priya replied. "But in the right order. Step 1, install cameras. Not one obvious doorbell camera. 3 cameras. A visible ring camera, a discreet side yard camera pointed at the shared driveway, and a tiny indoor camera facing my front window. My cousin Evan, an electrician in Durham, installed them on May 9th. Step 2, coordinate with Mr. Leland and Officer Grant. They couldn't use a trap package unless everything was handled properly, so we set up a controlled delivery with a marked parcel containing a GPS tracker and harmless weighted materials. Step 3, let Diane think she had won. That was the hardest part. For 2 weeks, I smiled when I saw her. She waved from her roses and called, "Any luck with those missing things?" I forced my lips upward. Still sorting it out. Her eyes glittered. Such a shame. People just aren't raised right anymore. My nails dug crescents into my palms. Step 4 was the HOA meeting on May 28th. Priya requested copies of financial records because Diane had mentioned security expenses in the March newsletter. That was when we found twist number 3. Diane had used $1,276 of HOA funds to buy 2 storage cabinets and a label printer, claiming they were for community event supplies. The storage cabinets were in her garage. The label printer had been used to relabel stolen items for resale. Priya's smile when she found that invoice was small and terrifying. "Now," she said, "we have more than theft. We have misuse of association funds." The controlled delivery happened on June 3rd at 2:17 p.m. I sat in my living room with the curtains cracked, my phone open to the camera feed, and sweat dampening the back of my shirt. The house smelled like dust and cold coffee. Every sound felt magnified, the refrigerator humming, a lawn mower 2 houses down, my own breathing. The postal carrier placed the marked package on my porch and walked away. The box was medium-sized, with my name printed clearly on the label. For 11 minutes, nothing happened. Then Diane's front door opened. She came out wearing gardening gloves and a wide straw hat. She looked left. Looked right. Bent over her roses. Snipped nothing. Then she crossed the driveway with a casual little hum, like she was doing the most normal thing in the world. My phone buzzed. Mr. Leland texted, "Stay inside." Diane stepped onto my porch. I could see her mouth moving on the camera, whispering to herself. She lifted the package. A UPS truck rolled around the corner at that exact second, and she froze. My lungs locked. If she put it down, we might lose the moment. But Diane turned her body toward my planter, pretending to adjust the flowers, then tucked the package under her arm and walked back to her house. I whispered, "Got you." 10 minutes later, Officer Grant and Mr. Leland knocked on Diane's door. I stayed inside as instructed, watching through the side camera. Diane opened the door with the same innocent smile. "Good afternoon," Officer Grant said. "We need to speak with you about a package removed from Ms. Whitaker's porch." Diane laughed lightly. "Oh, that? I was keeping it safe for her." Mr. Leland said, "Then why is the GPS tracker showing it inside your pantry?" Her smile vanished. The climax came 3 days later at the emergency HOA meeting in the clubhouse, a beige room that smelled like burnt coffee, carpet cleaner, and old paper plates. 43 neighbors showed up. Diane sat at the front table in a navy blazer, chin lifted, Paul beside her looking pale. Priya stood next to me with a folder thick enough to make a sound when she set it down. The HOA president, Mark Feldman, cleared his throat. "We're here to address allegations involving association funds and resident property." Diane stood immediately. "This is a misunderstanding fueled by Claire's personal issues." My face went hot, but Priya touched my elbow. "Let the evidence speak," she murmured. Priya connected her laptop to the projector. The first video filled the wall, Diane walking onto my porch, taking the controlled package, and disappearing into her house. The room went dead silent. Someone in the back whispered, "Oh my goodness." Diane's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Priya clicked again. Marketplace listings. Sold items. Photos of my stolen property on Diane's dining table. Invoices for HOA-funded cabinets. The cut label from the Apple box. The GPS report. Delivery photos. A spreadsheet of 23 packages. Paul turned toward Diane slowly. "Diane," he said, voice shaking, "tell me this isn't real." She gripped the edge of the table. "I was going to give things back." I stood then. My knees trembled, but my voice held. "You filed complaints against me while stealing from my porch," I said. "You smiled in my kitchen while selling my belongings. You let me think I was careless, unlucky, maybe even losing my mind." Diane's eyes darted around the room, searching for someone to rescue her. Mrs. Alvarez from across the street stood up, her cane tapping the floor. "You accused my grandson of taking packages last month." Diane whispered, "I didn't mean." Mark cut her off. "Diane Mercer is removed as treasurer effective immediately." Officer Grant, who had been waiting near the door, stepped forward. "Mrs. Mercer," she said, "we need you to come with us." The scrape of Diane's chair against the floor sounded like thunder. The aftermath was brutal for Diane and unbelievably freeing for me. She was charged in connection with multiple package thefts and misuse of HOA funds. Because mail and tracked deliveries were involved, the postal inspection case made everything more serious than she expected. She took a plea agreement that included restitution, community service, probation, and a public apology to the neighborhood. She had to repay me $7,462 plus my legal fees, and the HOA recovered the $1,276. Paul filed for separation in July and moved to an apartment near North Hills. Diane sold the house in September at a loss because nobody on Marigold Lane would so much as wave at her. Her D's Deals Raleigh account disappeared overnight, but not before half the neighborhood had seen the screenshots. As for me, I won in every way that mattered. My design contract with the Carey Dental Group went through after I explained the delay, and they loved the work so much they referred me to 3 more practices. By December, my business had its best year ever, $168,000 gross revenue. I installed a proper package locker, repainted my front door a deep green, and planted lavender where Diane used to pretend to admire my flowers. The HOA elected me secretary in October. I accepted, mostly because I wanted transparent records and partly because Karma has a beautiful sense of humor. At the first meeting, Mrs. Alvarez patted my hand and said, "You brought the light back to this street." For months, I thought revenge would feel like fire. Hot, wild, loud. It didn't. It felt like unlocking my own front door without flinching. It felt like hearing a delivery truck and smiling. It felt like sitting on my porch with Maya, drinking iced tea while lavender moved in the warm Raleigh breeze, knowing every lie had been dragged into daylight. Diane took boxes from my porch, but she handed me something better without meaning to, proof that I am not fragile, not foolish, and not someone who stays quiet to keep a dishonest person comfortable. I got my money back. I got my name back.